Hi, Tiger Todd here for Hero School and Heroes Inc. And as we honor those lost on this 19th anniversary of September 11th, what I'd like to do is really share a moment about how to achieve a September 12th. If you remember, the nation was grieving, but there was compassion everywhere. There was unity. There weren't people cutting each other off in traffic, and clearly big city narcissism was at an all-time low. And I started to think about this because the images today, particularly on social media, you know, looking at those two towers, and now I remember my visit, invited to the UN last June, my first opportunity to see Freedom Tower. I realized what an incredible metaphor this is in the lores of heroism everywhere, not just Hero School, but we find it everywhere. The journey of a human life is for two to become one, and we certainly don't get to pick or choose the circumstances or the tragedies that put us in a bind, that put us in tragedy, that put us in having to run into those towers. And I still think about all of those first responders and the price they paid, the citizen heroes that literally not just risked but gave their lives to help people they didn't know. And my goodness, can't that be the image for September 12th? You know, we read about it in, well, the two lives, of course. We have three movies in the Batman series, right? We got Batman Begins, we got The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, but it's three movies to talk about two selves, Bruce Wayne and Batman, the model for an extraordinary human life, but in its original components. And the goal of the trilogy is to integrate those two. In fact, I believe that The Dark Knight Rises was a misnamed movie. It should have been Bruce Almighty, but I think that was taken. Literally, it should have been the integration of the Bruce Wayne and the Batman into one new self, where that person was finally at peace. And I'd love to get back to peace again, but we know this, it can't happen on the outside. I don't care how many buildings are broken down, torn down, burned down, wrecked, and how many new ones are built. Until we build this inner building, our two selves, our two disparate selves, our Jekyll and Hyde selves, our Bruce Wayne and Batman selves, our Diana Prince and Wonder Woman selves, until we work on those on the inside, there won't ever be peace. And so my goal, and it doesn't take that many, it only takes a couple people in any industry, at any level, to actually go through their trilogy, to go through into becoming that integrated self, to establish that not just for themselves, but to affect the area around them positively. And so my goal and my hope for September 12th, this year and every year, is for more and more people to go through the work, to pick up the pieces of their last tragedy, to do the inner work, to rebuild themselves into one new integrated person. I'll leave you with one more quote from the Apostle Paul out of the book of Ephesians. To some it might be a religious text, to some it might be spiritual, to some it might be something, again, written in a book. But he said, at that time you were without Christ, having no hope and without God in the world. But now in Christ, you who sometimes are far off are made nigh, near, by the blood of Christ, for he is our peace, who has made both one, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, the struggle, the war, having made of himself of two, one new man, one new human, making peace. And we see that this has been a model for thousands of years, and yet September 12th, 2001, lasted in my city for about 7 days. About 7 days, and probably 8, 9, 10 days later, we saw people going back to the same self-interested, not being compassionate, not listening, not being unified behavior. Being affected by all those things outside us instead of being anchored in their soul by this integrated. You know, Nietzsche said this, the war in such a nature, if that should act as one more stimulus and enticement to life. You know, we only have these fights on the outside because people, individuals, are having these wars on the inside. So again, back to September 12th, my goal, my prayer, is that we'd each individually do the work to become integrated, whole people, making of ourselves of two, one new, extraordinary, whole, complete individual that doesn't need to take a fight from the inside to the outside world. It's Tiger Todd for Hero School and Heroes Inc., honoring the fallen and those who still must live. We believe in heroes. We believe in you.